Harris on the campaign trail. Let's get the analysis of the situation. Brian W. Smith joins us, Professor of Political Science at St Edward's University. So thank you very much for being with us here in France 24. Can I just put to you the findings of a recent poll? I think this is the most up-to-date one, Ipsos Reuters. Harris leading Donald Trump by 2 points, 44 to 42. Direct turnaround from how it was with Biden and Trump.
Yes, it's a direct turnaround. Now she's ahead. But the important thing to remember is we're still within the margin of error. Race is still too close to call, but it's trending. She's getting that bump that the Democrats thought she would when Biden stepped down.
Indeed, completely. It is too close to call. And obviously, opinion polls are just that, opinions, and that might change come voting day. So clearly, there are lots of obstacles to be overcome on both sides. Harris says she has enough delegates, and certainly the money's pouring in. Are you surprised that she's reacted and acted so quickly?
She acted very quickly because the support was going her way. And the worst thing that could happen to the Democrats would be a fractured party coming out of Chicago. She's really united the party behind her, and that's what she needs to do. Now she's got to keep that momentum going into Chicago and into the fall.
She spoke yesterday and said some fairly, I'm trying to choose the right word, I'll say choice things about Donald Trump. But clearly she had a definite message for the voters about being the party in the government for the middle class. Do you think that is a good tactic on Harris's part?
Definitely a good tactic. You can't win elections without getting middle-class voters. There aren't enough rich or poor people in America to win just by their vote. And we know that Joe Biden did very well getting working-class voters in the very key states. She's got to reestablish that coalition. And how you do that? Direct appeals to middle-class voters, because middle-class voters are around every state and very important in every state.
Just over 100 days before the election, some might say it's too short a time to make such a massive impact that she needs to make. But it started well.
It did start well, and she doesn't have to actually make a massive impact. She has a very high floor, meaning she already has 40% of the vote, just like Donald Trump has 40% of the vote. Her biggest problem is we don't know where her ceiling is. If she ends up only getting 47% of the vote, she loses. So she really has a lot of work to do, because right now she's polling well with Democrats. To win the election, she has to get independents to rally around her and not the former president.
Do you think the fact that Harris is coming into the contest at this particular stage could actually work in her advantage? Short, sharp shock, big impact.
Definitely. If you're in a hole, you stop digging. The Democrats were in a hole. They stopped digging. So now they have to figure out how to get out. And it wasn't Joe Biden. He wasn't going to get him out of that hole. So this is a chance to reset the campaign, draw in new fundraisers, energize the electorate. We know the Republicans are unified. Now it's her job to unify the Democrats.
I'm going to pick my words for this next question. You mentioned Joe Biden. Does he have a role to play as kind of like a joker in some ways? I'm not saying he's a joke, he isn't, but kind of this kind of loose cannon, kind of free electron, as we say in French. Someone who can actually sort of basically turn up, bid things, say things, and create, in some ways, that momentum for Harris.
Right. What he has to do is be Vice President Harris's biggest supporter. He has to support everything that she does. He also has to be very careful about what he says. He's always had trouble saying the wrong thing at the absolute worst time. He's got to stay on point, stay on message, support that vice president.
Let's talk about the other side of the equation, Trump-Vance, that ticket which looked all fresh and new just a few days ago, but then Biden dropped out and completely changed the news agenda. So how do Trump and Vance get that new spotlight back onto them?
How they get onto that is they start doing that opposition research. They find out where Kamala Harris's weaknesses are and then go after those. She's from California, which doesn't play well in a lot of America, and that's where you start. You paint the vice president as being somebody who is way too liberal for America and the wrong choice. And they have the script written for Biden. Now it's actually easier to paint the vice president as somebody out of touch.
Indeed, slightly difficult to do that with Harris, of course, and dealing with a woman, of course, it might actually sort of wrong foot Trump in some ways because of his awkwardness in dealing with women, it seems. How about Vance, though? Harris saying that she will be be the president for the middle classes, for working people. That seems to be Vance's territory, doesn't it? It's something that Vance says is his constituency.
Right. They picked Vance because for the Republicans to win, he has to get the middle class vote in Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin. And if she's able to siphon off those votes just a little bit, she can win the election. We know this is going to be a very close election, and it's all about turnout. Whoever gets more of their own voters out and independents wins the race.
Brian, thanks for your time and thanks for your analysis. Professor Brian Smith of St Edward's University. Hope we speak again soon, sir. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you for having me.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you. Thank you. US politics analysed there by our guest, Brian W. Smith.